All right, well, we're going to begin with a review exercise today, but it's a little bit of a different review exercise in that we're really going to do the whole thing together. Okay, so open your books if you would, your review exercise speed drill books to page 25. Let's take a look at exercise 29. Page 25, review exercise number 29. Page 25, review exercise 29. And you'll see a couple of blank checks here. And I want to talk to you today about how to write a check. Now, you should have learned this last year in 7th grade, so it should be review for you, hence I call it a review exercise, but wanted to go over this with you. First of all, a check is just an order for the bank to pay money. So the idea is you have money in the bank, and you want the bank to give some of your money to somebody else. For instance, if you were to write me a check, it's only good if there's money in the account. If you have no money, you can't write me a check. Your parents, I'm sure, could, and I do accept personal checks in large amounts. But anyway, along the edge of the check, it looks like there's this border around the edge. Oftentimes, there will be some sort of micro print in the border. It's a security feature to keep people from forging checks. These do not have that. They're just printed on the paper. There's also what's called the check number. And you see that first check has a 1025. This is a specific check number that represents the check, and they're in order. So as you look through your checkbook, the very first check might be, for instance, check 1, then behind that would be check 2, check 3, check 4, check 5. And after, many, many years of writing thousands of checks, you eventually get to these other numbers. Now, strategy tip. When you order checks, because one day you'll have to do this, order big numbers to start out. It looks to a vendor, when they see a big number here, it looks like you've had a checking account for a long time, which means you're responsible, which means they can trust you. People look suspiciously at checks with the number 001 on it. They get very worried. Does this person have a clue what they're doing? So if you want to put them at their ease, you can simply request checks with bigger numbers on them. But it represents the check number, and when you're looking at your bank statement, whether online or on paper, if you have it mailed to you, I go paperless because I'm, good for the environment that way. It'll say check 1025, and of course I can look at the image. Okay, yeah, that's what I wrote check 1025 for. Now you'll notice there's a big blank space up here. I'm going to have you fill this in with me. Go ahead and put your first and last name. I'm just going to put Mr. Nadaski, but put your first and last name really small in the top corner of the check. I'm going to put your address. I'm going to put the school's address for sake of ease, since this is on YouTube. So your first and last name, you'd also put your address, including the city, state, zip.
Real address?
Sure, this isn't going anywhere, and I could already have access to it on RenWeb if I wanted it, so you're not risking anything. I'm obviously not going to put this up on YouTube. Okay, and for my purposes, I'm putting the school's address on YouTube. We are concerned with privacy here at Grace Christian School. But this is information that would be printed on the top corner of the check. Now, when you first open a checking account, you'll usually be given a pack of what are called starter checks. They won't have this printed. My advice, don't use the starter checks. Keep them in pocket until you get your real checks shipped to you. Usually take about a week to get to you. Just wait for those because businesses don't like starter checks. So wait till you get the checks with the real stuff printed on them. You'll also notice it says date. It is important that you put the date that you are writing the check. Do not ever put a date later than actually today. For instance, at the time we're recording this, it is April 12th. A date before April 12th is actually okay. But if I were to put April 13th, people could not accept the check because it's what's called a post-dated check. So for the date line, we would just put April 12, 2021. Some places, by the way, in fact, my checks that I have at home come with the 20 of the year already printed, and I fill in the 21 at the end, like it saves me any time, whatever. But the date, you'll write the check that you're going to write the date. Then you'll notice it says pay to the order of. For sake of time, I'm just going to write the word pay, but you notice it says pay to the order of, and there's a big long line. This gives you the chance to write the name of the store or person or entity to whom you're making out the check. So, Lana, Do you have a favorite store or restaurant? While she thinks, Joshua, favorite store or restaurant?
Let's do it to Starbucks.
Starbucks, okay. What would you like to do?
Dunkin' Donuts.
Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah.
So you would write Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts. I like Golden Donut, so I'm going to write Golden Donut in the blind. So I go ahead and write the name of the place or person, in this case place, restaurant, to which we're going to make out the check. Now typically when you write this, you will not fill the entire line, will you? So let's suppose Joshua writes Starbucks. And he, for whatever reason, he intends to take the check to Starbucks, but he drops it on the side of the road. And I pick it up and I see that there's a check for $20 made out to Starbucks. And I decide I'm going to add the word Enterprises Incorporated, and I write that in afterward. And I open up my own business called Starbucks Enterprises Incorporated, and I cash his $20 check. We don't want to allow that. We don't want to allow somebody to make up Golden Donut Entertainment, and they call their own company Golden Donut Entertainment, and they cash my check. So to make sure of that, you just put a line all the way to the end. If the bank sees writing on top of a line, they will assume nothing in here is valid. So you just draw a line after you finish writing the company or person to whom you're writing. If I wanted to make a check out to, I don't know, IHOP. Well, again, you would want to put the line afterward, the particularly short name. Now, there are times, for instance, I make out a check to Phoenix City Utilities. Well, Phoenix City Utilities takes up most of the line, so I don't you have to put a lot, but just a little bit of a line there just to ensure security. Then we're going to write the amount in dollars and cents that we're going to pay to Golden Donut or Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks. Now, your total's probably going to be higher, right? Because Starbucks is expensive, unless you're just getting one drink. Then you might be the same as us. But I'm just going to say, let's suppose $10. Let's all just do $10.73. So there's a little box there next to the dollar sign for you to write the 10.73.
Why did you put a line?
Just to make the number smaller. You don't have to. You just do 10.73. It's just something I do. So 10.73 for the money that you put in. Then there's a long line here that then says dollars. Now this is where it gets fun for some people. Actually, let's you have a pencil? Let's change this. Let's actually make this, let's make this $22.73. I'm buying a lot of donuts, and you're buying 2 beverages. All right? Lana's buying donuts and beverages. Let's make it $22.73. So what we would write in the line, we're going to write this out in words. 20-2. Remember your hyphenated numbers from English class. That's why I decided not to go with 10. The word 10 is so short. All right, just T-E-N. So 20-2, just to give you practice with the hyphen. 20-2, that's the number of dollars. That's what it says is dollars. These are cents. How do you represent cents? Well, remember, cents are hundredths of a dollar, right? So then you're going to write and, that's your decimal point. Remember, I've gotten onto you, Josh, about not using the word and until we actually get to the decimal. And 73 hundredths dollars. 22 and 73 hundredths dollars. It makes it very clear, unambiguous, that's all there is. And then once again, we'll put a line. What if Joshua had written 22 and 73 hundredths and there was space at the beginning that was left? And I found the check. I just put a little 1 right there. Or maybe Golden Donut puts a 1 right there and writes 100. 22 and 73 hundredths. You don't want to allow anyone to mess with the check, so you start at the very beginning of the line and put a line here. So that way, and the reason for that is to keep a business from very quickly putting a 1. And now all of a sudden, you just paid a whole lot more money than you planned on, right? It's for the security of the check, to make sure it's very clear. So we write it here, and we also write it in words, so there's no question how much money we actually intend to pay. Now, normally, right under this, there'd be your bank name. For instance, I have an account at Regions Bank. If you know the bank your parents have, that's fine. Go ahead and just put the bank name right there underneath that. That's usually where the bank name will be. So there's CB&T, there's Synovus, there's, you never go with your mom to the bank?
Oh, I do, but I forgot.
We use Bank of America.
Bank of America, there's Navy Federal Credit Union here in town, there's SunTrust, there's,
I don't know why I can't.
what's that credit union, Kinetic Credit Union?
Discover.
TIC, that's a credit card company, not a bank. Anyway, just make up a bank if you're not sure. Then you see there's a line that says memo. That's a line for you to write whatever you happened to buy. Like maybe this isn't just a routine trip to Golden Donut to buy donuts. Maybe these were donuts that I bought specifically for my 8th graders. This doesn't do anything but tell you what you wrote it for, because when you go online, you'll be able to see the check like, what did I write a check to Golden Donut for? Oh, that's right. The 8th graders did a great job on their test and I wanted to buy them $22 worth of donuts. So you can put whatever you want in the memo line. Okay, maybe it's maybe this is a gift for your mom. Maybe this is you had a really bad day and you were cheering yourself up. Whatever. You don't even have to write anything in the memo line. I don't always. And then is the signature line. A check is not valid unless signed. And although certain places would argue we don't need to use signature match to cast a vote for the leaders of our country, banks care that signatures match in order for a check to clear. So whatever your signature happens to be, you want to always sign a check the same way. If a check is signed very strangely, it looks nothing like they're used to at the bank, they may call the check into question. So you now sign your name however you would normally sign it. I'll just put my last name here. This does not necessarily look like my signature, but again, for privacy and security reasons, I'm not going to sign the check in my usual fashion since this is on YouTube. So you'd have a very distinct signature. By the way, you would want to use this signature on everything you do. So however you choose to sign your name, if you choose to be sloppy, which isn't always a great look, if you choose to have a very scripty, fancy, whatever you do as you get older, pick one signature you're going to use to sign everything, including your checks. Then you'll notice some numbers. Now they're all zeros because this isn't a real check, but if you would, mark the first bunch of zeros and write this term routing number. Routing number. Every financial institution in America has a specific routing number. Regions Bank has a different routing number from SunTrust, which has a different one from Bank of America, which has a different, you get the idea. This tells the holder of the check whose bank to go to. Now again, the name is also written here, but the computer oftentimes, most checks are electronically cashed out, and so the routing number tells which institution is cashing the check. You'll then see a bunch more zeros. That is the account number. Now again, in this case, it's all zeros, but it's the account number. At this institution, this is the account that is the money is being taken out of. Tell you what I actually happen to have, for not this reason, I happen to have some checks. I won't allow you to write down these numbers, but I want you to see the actual numbers. I'm not going to put this on YouTube, sorry, Scott. But you see this number is unique to Regions Bank. You see the bank name there, there's the routing number. That's my account number, don't copy it. That's the check number I'm on. All right? And you see it's kind of a weird computerized print. There you see the routing number, that identifies Regions. That's my account number, do not try to memorize, and that's the check number, last of all, that you see there. You'll notice that the 4 digits after the account number match the check number. And again, that's just so the computer can read the check number. So if you'll go ahead and label that as well, just so you're familiar with the parts of the check. Again, you're not putting anything on the check, just labeling what these numbers would mean. So if you look down at the next check, what is the routing number of the bank or financial institution that the next check will go to? Joshua? What's the routing number on the second check?
18005907850.
Great job. Hopefully YouTube cut all that. I'm not going to reread the whole number. Yeah. Lana, what's the account number for this particular check?
603536290.
Very good. And what's the check number of the check, obviously, class?
1177.
And you can see that in the top corner as well. Does that tell you what the checks are? Yes, ma'am.
How come there's like A line with 2 dots.
Those just separate, that tells the computer to separate this number from the next number from the next number. So those other little markings are not numbers, they're separators for the sake of the computer as it reads the checks. Now, one more thing that's very important is whenever you write a check, if you start to write a check and you realize, no, I made a big mistake. For instance, let's suppose I started to write Golden Donut, and for whatever reason, I wrote Golden, and I started to write Dust or something. Whoa, that's not how you spell donut. You could make a neat line and write the word donut, but again, the bank is going to assume if something's crossed out, there's something wrong. If it's a small mistake that's meaningless, you might put your initials next to it just to let the bank know, look, I made a mistake. But if it's a pretty major mistake, you want to rip that check up and throw it away. However, you also want to write void, very big, across the front of the check. So it's clear this check cannot be cashed. Now again, I happen to need a voided check for what I'm going to be doing later on today. So I'm going to go ahead and write the word void across the front of the check, and you see what it would look like there. Just nice and clear, this check can never be cashed. I'm actually not going to fill anything else out on the check. The institution I'm sending it to actually just needs a voided check. They just need my account information so they can do some direct deduction every month for insurance purposes. But yeah, voiding a check, just write void across it. I usually also tear it up. And maybe I'm a little overly worried about identity theft and people hacking my bank account and taking the dozens of dollars that are in there. But I also try to usually rip up the check right where the account numbers and routing numbers are, rip it up a little bit so it's even harder to piece back together, but that may be a bit excessive there. All right, what I'm going to have you do now is fill in the next check any amount of money to any one or any business. I'll let you kind of fill it out on your own. And then I'll come by and check and make sure you filled things out correctly. So take a few minutes to write your own check to whoever you want to write it to.
We use the same date, right?
Yes, yeah, use today's date. Do you all remember learning this in 7th grade?
Yeah.
So I didn't tell you anything new, it was just a refresher, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Good. That means you were well taught in 7th grade. That's a good sign.
You have to write all that for one check.
Well, again, normally this would already come pre-typed on the check. Normally this would come pre-typed on the check. So the institution name, again, let me show you my check. I'll show you the voided one. You see that my name, address, my wife's name, that's all on there, and the bank name is already on there. So normally you would not have to actually write any of that. It would already be printed. You order the checks with it printed on there. You can order checks directly from your bank, or you can save money by ordering them like I do online from like supersaverchecks.com. And that's if you trust your financial institution information to supersaverchecks.com or whatever company it is that I use. I don't write a lot of checks, so I only order checks about every 2 years. Who would you write checks to? I mean, everybody takes debit card now, right? When would you actually write a check?
Or like when you don't have enough money.
Well, like when you're selling a
Like
house.
in your wallet, you don't have enough money.
Okay, there we go. For instance, I just refinanced my house, and I had to pay a large sum of money at closing. They don't want cash, and they really don't have a card reader with them, the closing agent, but they'll take a check. What are some other times you'll write a check?
You run out of money in your
Checks all the
wallet.
time.
Well, but then you'd have a debit card, right? Which acts like a check you can reuse over and over again.
Yeah, my grandparents use checks all the time because they build houses and sell houses and get
Okay.
money from their.
What else, though? Everyday stuff.
To a bank or something like,
Tithe check?
Yeah.
Now, no, you can. A lot of churches have online giving, right? But I've used it a couple of times. It's easier for me just to remember Sunday morning, let me write a check real quick. So I do that for that. Utility bill, I mentioned Phoenix, it was earlier. Phoenix City Utilities, they charge me a fee to use a credit card, and I'm cheap. I don't want to pay a $2 fee, so I use a check. Who else do I write checks to? I do auto deduction for like my mortgage. I do that online, though a lot of people write checks for that. My car payment, I do that online. That's an auto deduct. This first check is actually for life insurance. I'm going to be mailing that to the life insurance company, but after that, they're going to auto deduct that. So yeah, I don't use a lot of checks. I mean, I guess paying a babysitter, if I don't have cash on me, though usually babysitters want cash. They do not want checks. Golden Donut, in fact, I think, if they ever reopen, has a policy they don't accept personal checks. So a lot of places don't even want checks anymore. But again, there will be enough times that you will need to know this. So anyway, pick a place. You could write it and make it out to your church if you wanted to, if you're struggling who to make a check out to. Be good practice for you to write a check to the church. Take a picture of it after school and send it to your pastor and say, look what you're getting. Oh, sorry, this was just a practice. Don't actually do that. I was kidding. I was kidding, Scott. When I registered my kids for school for this upcoming school year, I paid that by check.
Well, yeah, because most credit cards and stuff have limits on it, and I don't know.
Well,
Depending on how high the limit is.
yeah, and sometimes you don't want to go through the hassle of the credit card getting dinged for, did you intend to spend $600? You know, credit card companies are good about like stopping payment and be like, wait, confirm you actually wanted to spend this. Was this really you? Yes, it was really me. Okay, but if you don't want that hassle, you don't have to worry about it with a check.
Yeah, my parents' credit card got hacked, and the credit card company called them and like, are you going to Europe? And they're like, no. Yeah, so they got hacked and somebody bought plane tickets to Europe.
Yeah, there were a couple California transactions on one of my credit cards, and they texted me, was this you? No, it certainly was not. Thanks, we'll stop payment and take care of it. All right. All right. Good. Good job. All right.
I'm just not writing.
That's fine. All right. Very neat signature. That's good. Now, I will say this. The neater the signature, the harder to copy. I also say the fewer distinctive features. No, it's hard for people to write neatly. And cursive is really hard nowadays because most people don't know cursive. So if you have a print signature, don't do it. A cursive signature is hard to copy, hard to duplicate, and it's also very distinctive for you. So with a little loopy thing at the top.
Oh, and like I always do it in cursive.
Yep. So always good, always good. Anyway, questions at all on that? I see a little bit of a different kind of review exercise today. Let me go and collect those from you, and let's get back to the algebra. We do have a test coming up in just a couple more lessons. Lesson 154 on Wednesday will be our next test. Bless you. He's allergic to tests. Page 503 in your textbook. Wear a mask that day and take it anyway. Just kidding. Well, not entirely, but you. Anyway, page 503. Let's take a look at the homework. You had numbers 1 through 23. Page 503, numbers 1 through 23. Let's take a look at that. All right, go there, and there is good. All right, let's take a look at the answers here. Number 1, you're just combining like terms, Lana.
4D negative 8n.
Good. 4D negative 8n, combining the n terms together. Number 2, Joshua.
8r squared positive 7r to the 5th.
You're right about the 7r to the 5th. You're actually correct, and the textbook is wrong.
I'll practice.
Because I got
Yeah, they had a negative 8r squared, and I'm looking, I'm like, nope, that should be a positive 8r squared. So yes, r at 7r to the 5th, positive 8r squared is correct. And again, addition's commutative. You could go out of order and say 8r squared, positive 7r to the 5th. Though generally, remember, descending order, we want the biggest power first, then the smaller power later, but it's not wrong. Number 3, Lana.
9xy positive 8yz.
Good, 9xy positive 8yz. Number 4, Joshua.
7ab squared.
Good, positive 7ab squared. Number 5, moving on to multiplication, Lana.
NT.
Because when you multiply like basis, class, you add the exponents. Number 6, Joshua.
S to the 5th.
Because, class, when you divide like basis, you subtract the exponents. Number 7, Lana.
A to the 7th b cubed.
Good, a to the 7th b cubed. Because remember that last a is an a to the 1st. Number 8, Joshua.
W to the 5th.
W to the 5th. The h's will cancel. They should have had the h before the w's. Anyway, alphabetical order, you know. Number 9, Lana.
3c cubed y.
Good, 3c cubed, ooh.
What?
Y?
3c cubed y cubed?
3c cubed y cubed. Sorry, I said good and then realized that's not good. 3c cubed y cubed.
Yeah.
Looking in your textbook, you should have had in the top there y to the fourth over a y to the
Yeah,
first.
I don't know. I just forgot.
Tell you what, for redemption, Lana, number 10.
Negative 16k to the 6p to the 4th.
Great job with the signed number letter there. Negative 16, k to the 6th, p to the 4th. Number 11, Joshua.
1x over 4.
Good, 1x over 4. Number 12, distributing, Lana.
48v to the 5th, negative 12v.
Good, 48v to the 5th, negative 12v. Number 13, dividing by the monomial, Joshua.
I thought it was more.
Number 13?
Oh, 13.
13.
M, 5mx cubed positive 3m.
Great job. 5mx cubed positive 3m. Lana, number 14. Actually, let me go back to Joshua since I did a distribution with you already. Joshua, number 14.
18u to the 6 positive 36u squared.
You remembered the u squared. Excellent. That's something we've had some trouble with in the past. Good. 18u to the 6th positive 36u squared. Number 15 now, Lana. Let me give you a chance to do some division. Sign number letter.
2b to the 4th, negative 1k to the 4th.
Good. Positive 2b to the 4th, negative 1k to the 4th. And number 16, Joshua, some more distribution.
18d cubed n squared negative 45d into the 7.
Great job keeping the alphabetical order as well. There, 18, d cubed n squared, negative 45d n to the 7th. Any questions on 1 through 16, Lana?
Number 13, I put 5mx positive 3m.
Looking in your book there at number 13, you see how you have the x to the 4th over the single x, subtract the exponents, x cubed.
Yes.
Okay? All right, was that the only mistake? All right, any questions at all? All right, moving on to 17 through 19, practicing with some FOIL, first, outer, inner, last, or double distribution. You're literally doing the same thing either way, it's just how you choose to look at it. Number 17, Lana.
b squared positive 5b positive 4.
Good, b squared positive 5b positive 4. Number 18, Joshua.
v squared negative 11b positive 24.
Excellent job. You kept track of the multiplication and then the combining later. V squared negative 11v positive 24. Number 19, Lana.
A squared negative ab negative b squared.
Careful, Joshua.
A squared negative b squared.
Should have just been a squared negative b
yeah,
squared. Because when you distribute the a, you get a squared positive ab. Then you distribute, negative ab. Then you distribute the b to get a positive ab negative b squared. But these two should have canceled to give you nothing. To just get a squared minus b squared. Number 20, factoring out the common factor. First of all, Lana, what is common to those two terms in number 20?
6.
Just a 6. And good, I'm glad she said 6, not 2, not 3, but 6. The biggest common factor. What was your factored answer?
6 times the quantity. 1h positive 3.
Perfectly read. 6 times the quantity, h positive 3. Number 21, Joshua.
Oh no.
Did you find another common factor? Tell me your answer. Just tell me what you originally wrote.
I put 16 times the quantity 1r squared negative 3r.
Well, first of all, good job on spotting that 16 is actually common here, right? That's we don't know our 16 times tables. Good job identifying that there is a 16 in the 48. But Joshua, you just realized as you looked at the binomial, there's still something common. So let's keep the 16 out like we already had. Let's now also pull out the r from this right here to get
1r negative 3.
There we go. And there's the completely factored answer. 16r times r negative 3. Lana, questions, comments, 21? All right, number 22. Lana, back to you.
2 times the quantity. 6b squared positive 3b positive 2.
Good, just a common 2 times the quantity 6b squared positive 3b positive 2. And number 23, Joshua's fixing his answer, I think. I heard him mutter something about same thing, so I'm guessing you forgot the t, but he's got it now. What's the correct answer?
3t, 5t squared.
Times the quantity.
Times the quantity, 5t squared positive 6t Positive 2.
Great job. 3t times the quantity 5t squared positive 6t positive 2. Any questions at all on those? All right. Any questions at all on the homework? Let's do some more review, then flip back to page 501. Again, we are looking ahead toward a test in 2 more lessons. This is lesson 152. Lesson 154 will have our test. And so we're going to begin the test review now. Page 501. You see where it says Chapter 10, Review C. I want you to do numbers 1 through 16 below it. It's very similar to the first part of the homework. Page 501, at the bottom of the page, 1 through 16. Combining like terms, multiplying monomials, dividing monomials. So a lot of sign, number, letter in here. But not combining like terms. There's no sign, number, letter in that.
Have we had negative exponents like that?
Oh, they threw a negative exponent at you in the review? I did not notice that. Which one?
7.
Yeah, we haven't really talked about them much. We just add the exponents. So what is negative 3 plus 4?
1.
Positive 1. Just z to the first.
Oh.
On number 7 was the question.
Z.
Yeah, just z to the first or z. Another way to look at this is z to the negative third. We did talk about negative exponents earlier, where you could say, well, negative exponent means reciprocal. So z to the negative third would be 1 over, or reciprocal of, z cubed. And if you remember that this is over 1, these 3 cancel with 3 of these. There's your only z left. It's easier just to add 4 and negative 3 to get 1. So, but yeah, let me double check the test. I don't think there's negative exponents on the test, because it wasn't something we really practiced in this section, but I will double check. Yeah, I missed that as I was preparing for the lesson today. If it is on the test, obviously we'll do some reviewing tomorrow over that.
You just add them.
Yeah, but I still want to make sure you see it enough that you're not thrown off tomorrow by it. Like the way they teach it, there aren't any on the test, but the way the book even teaches, if you actually look at their solution, they use negative exponents a lot. I'm like, why? It's harder. Why not just do it the easy way? So I differ from the book's approach, but no, there aren't any like that on the test. So we will be good.
another 1 on 15.
I'm trying to.
Yeah. Ooh, okay, so let me ask you, on number 15, what do you get when you add the exponents? -3 plus +1.
-2.
-2. So what was our answer here?
16
cubed
times 2 to the
16
-2.
times q to the -2nd, which could be rewritten. Remember, negative exponent means reciprocal. So it could be 16 over q squared. I would be fine with this answer. The book was looking for this, but they didn't actually specify no negative exponents. So that's really strange that they worked all those in. Oh, they've got one on the next page too. It's really fun. Yeah, we'll look at that one together, I think. All right, Joshua's finished, and Lana's finished up the last one. All right, so we kind of already looked at 7 and 15. We'll address them again here in just a moment. Checking your answers here, number 1 should have combined the b's to get positive 15b, and the positive 9c has no friends, so it just is around 15b positive 9c. Number 2, if we lead with the highest power, that's a negative 1g cubed, then positive 5g squared. If you had it the other way around, it's not necessarily wrong. 5g squared, negative 1g cubed, but either way. Number 3, should have been a 6wz, positive 7wy. And number 4 should have been a 16.
Could you go either way for that?
Yeah, 7wy, positive 6wz would be fine as well. And then number 4 is 16. J squared k squared to positive 11 jk squared. Or 11 jk squared positive 16 j squared k squared. Any questions on 1 through 4? Both perfect? All right, Scott, if you're not perfect, let me know via email. Number 5, you add the exponents b to the 7th. Number 6, subtract the exponents v squared. Number 7, add the exponents z to the positive first, or just z to the first, or just z, as we'd already discussed. Number 8, class? 1, because everything cancels. Number 9 is just obnoxious looking. It's x to the 9th y squared, when we simplify it all down. Number 10, if you had hb cubed, I wouldn't mark it wrong, but the correct way to write it would be b cubed h. Putting them in alphabetical order. Joshua got it. Lana did not. But again, it's the book's fault. They had them out of order. Same thing on the test on Wednesday. If they have it out of order and you keep their order, I'm not going to penalize you for them being wrong. Okay? But I'll put a smiley face if you catch their mistake and fix it. For whatever it's worth, you know. I don't get bonus points for that. It's not that impressive, but it's worth me taking my time to put a smiley face. All right, number 11 should have gotten v to the... Nope. U to the 5th, v to the 10th. The book had that out of order as well. U to the 5th, v to the 10th. Number 12, x cubed. The y squareds cancel, the z's cancel, it's just x cubed. Number 13, sign number letter, Lana.
Negative 21 d to the 4th s to the 6th.
Great job, negative 21 d to the 4th s to the 6th. Number 14, Joshua.
1 over 2 w to the 4th.
Good, 1 over 2 w to the 4th. Great job there. Reduce the 6/12 to a half. And then you've got 5 w's in the top, you've got 9 in the bottom. Those 5 cancel with 5 and the 9 to leave you with 4 w's, but they're all in the bottom, so 1 over. 2w to the 4th. We just looked at 15 a moment ago. Of course, 2 times 8 is 16. You add the exponents, you get negative 2. I'm fine with this answer. It means the same thing as 16 over q squared. And the number 16, Lana.
2t to the 4th.
Positive 2t to the 4th is correct. Questions on the 1 through 16? Yes, ma'am.
Well, on number 14, I just forgot the w. I put 2 to the 4th.
Okay, you even thought about the 4th power. You just forgot to write the base. You had the exponent with no base. All right. Questions on that? Of course, technically, 1 over 2 to the 4th means 1/16, which would obviously be wrong. But yeah, just careful there. Questions? Turn the page. We've been looking at these negative exponents. They give us a fun one here in number 17. Let's take a look at this together. And again, there aren't any like this on the test, but I thought I'd at least go over this. Now, and they put the letters out of order. They have the S's before the B's. But anyway, the number is easy, right? 24 divided by A equals 3. No problem there. Let's also take care of the B's, since alphabetically that should come next, right? B to the 4th divided by B to the 1st, because we subtract the exponents, right? There's a couple ways to work with the S. Remember, we always take bigger minus smaller, right? For instance, if this were a 3 and a 5, we'd say, what's 5 minus 3, right? It's 2. All right, but this is a negative 3, but 5 is still bigger, isn't it? What is, listen carefully, 5 minus negative 3?
2, yeah.
5 minus negative 3.
Wait.
8,
Yeah.
because we add the inverse. And where was the bigger power?
On the bottom.
In the bottom. So the s to the 8th is in the bottom.
Wow.
Now, there's another way to look at this. The other way to look at this is to say, well, remember, fractional exponent means reciprocal, right? If there's a q to the negative second, you could move it down into the denominator, reciprocal, as a q squared. We can do the same thing here. We can say, well, that's an s to the negative third. I don't like that. Let's move it down as an s cubed. But are we now dividing or are we multiplying these two s's? Because they're both in the bottom together, aren't they? They don't cancel, they work together, add the exponents to the s to the 8th. There's another way to look at it. That's Algebra 1 level. We're going to do this in Algebra 1. It's pre-algebra. You don't have to be able to do that on quizzes and tests. But this would be our answer. Questions on it, though? It's not a problem. I don't mind previewing Algebra 1 stuff as long as they're not testing on that crazy Algebra 1 level. Questions on this? Why don't you continue with the odds, going 19 to 37, the odd now. 19 to 37, just the odd problems. just didn't satisfy. That's better. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at 19 through 37. The odd number 19. Joshua, let's start with you. Sign number letters. What did you get?
Negative 3vt squared over d to the fifth.
Good. Technically t squared v, but they had it out of order. I don't blame you.
Oh,
Negative
yeah.
3t squared v over d to the fifth. Number 21, Lana. Distributing.
Negative 6v to the 5th, negative 12v cubed.
Great job. Negative 6v to the fifth, negative 12v cubed. 23, Joshua.
9v positive 1.
Good. 9v positive 1. 24, Lana.
A to the 4th, negative 7a squared.
Good. A to the fourth, negative 7a squared. That was number 25. I think I said 24. Number 25. Number 27, Joshua.
Positive 2x negative 1y.
Good. Positive 2x, negative 1y. Number 29, Lana.
13 cubed, positive 2q squared. I don't know.
Joshua?
I think that's what I had.
I've got 13q positive 2 over q squared. Do you see how the q squared is in the bottom?
Oh, that's why I was so late.
That's why it looked weird. Yeah, the 39q cubed over the 13q squared is no problem, right? Divide to get 3, subtract the exponents to get q to the first. But then you've got this, excuse me, that was the 3, that was the 13. And then you've got the 6 right here. Well, 6 divided by 3, no problem, that's positive 2. But the q squared isn't in the top, it's in the bottom. And to show it's in the bottom, I have to create a denominator just to put the q squared in there. Does that make sense? All right, number 31. Back to Lana.
1y cubed over 4, negative 2y.
Great job. 1y cubed over 4, negative 2y. Number 33, Joshua. Ooh, this is a fun
I
one.
know about this one. But
All right.
Negative 3cd squared negative 1c squared over 2d positive 7.
Great job. Lana, did you have that?
Yes.
Outstanding. He was a little unsure of himself, but he nailed it. Let's run through this again. Sign is negative, number's 3, c has no friends, but it's in the top with the 3, and d subtracting exponents d squared. Here sign is negative, the number's 1/2. The c squared has no friends. The d has no friends. Here, sign is positive, number is 7, d's cancel, and there's the answer that Joshua gave us a moment ago. Fantastic job. It looked funny, but you did exactly what you knew to do. And that's part of the algebra brain training, is helping your brain overcome. It looks weird. It doesn't matter if it looks weird. Is it right or not? Yes, it's right. Great job. Number 35, straightforward distribution, Lana.
Negative 27f to the 4th g, positive 72f g squared.
Perfect. Number 27f, negative 27f to the 4th g, positive 72f g squared. And number 37, another straightforward distribution. Joshua?
17u to the 6 positive 9. Yeah, 6. Wait, what?
Did you write too small to read your own writing?
No. 9u cubed negative 12u.
Great job, and you remembered the u at the end. I was waiting for that. Good. 17u to the 6th, positive 9u cubed, negative 12u is correct. Questions on those? All right. Homework is to do page 502, 18 to 36, the even. Page 502, numbers 18 to 36, the even. So a very short homework assignment for a change. Lesson 154, that's 2 more lessons. That's Wednesday for us, will be test 10 over chapter 10. All right, you are dismissed. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
You said 502.